have is Office of Emergency Services. It's a resolution approving a donation of zone-based evacuation planning services from Zone Haven, valued at $84,270 for a term of December 28, 2020 through December 28, 2022. And I think Lieutenant Jacobs, you've got this one?
I do, yes, thank you.
Okay, Bob.
All right, good afternoon, Honorable Board of Supervisors and Chair Miller. I'm Sheriff's Lieutenant Bob Jacobs, your county's Emergency Operations Coordinator working out of the county's Office of Emergency Services. I'm joined today by your OES Program Manager, Paul Cummings. The presentation I have for you this afternoon involves a topic of great concern to both our public safety community as well as our community at large. And with that, I really do appreciate your time and attention. Can I have the slides, please? Jeff, I'm sorry. Can you back that up one? Thank you. Nevada County's law enforcement and fire leaders all agree that more can and should be done to prepare residents for emergency evacuations on a large scale. The graphic I've displayed for you on this slide depicts a map of Nevada County and a puzzle-like configuration. This is what our county looks like when broken into roughly 225 individual evacuation zones that are both traffic and threat aware. Your county's OES department, in collaboration with all of our public safety agencies in Nevada County, would like to pursue zone-based evacuation planning with the goal of making evacuations safer for everyone and reducing the amount of time it takes to notify affected residents of evacuations occurring in their neighborhood. And next slide. What is zone-based evacuation? So the concept of zone-based evacuation is essentially where you take counties or cities and you break them into manageable geographic evacuation zones. These boundaries are developed based on topography, roadway architectures, the number of ingress and egress routes in and out of a neighborhood or an area, as well as population. Next slide. Historically, evacuation decisions have been made in a very ad hoc, on-the-fly manner with a number of emergency management personnel standing over maps trying to decide the scope and scale of those evacuations. With predefined evacuation zones, however, we can eliminate unnecessary delays in establishing those geographic boundaries. Critical infrastructure, key locations, and traffic control points are all identified in advance. We also have the advantage of knowing what's in these zones, such as a population of a given area, or maybe the number of childcare or skilled nursing facilities and their typical daily resident populations. Having this type of information in advance allows incident managers to make more informed decisions about transportation assets that may be needed to assist with moving folks out of those threatened areas. There are also public messaging benefits to having predefined evacuation zones. When residents know the zone they reside in, they will be less likely to be confused as to whether they're under an evacuation order or warning when we announce the zones being affected. We can also preload these zones into our code red emergency alert system, so when the time comes to send out critical messages to the public, we aren't faced with the inherent delays of having to hand draw evacuation boundaries. We simply select a zone from a drop-down list and send our message. Next slide. As you can see in this slide, developing zone-based evacuation plans has been a goal of OES's since your board approved our 2019 Wildfire Preparedness Action Plan. Unfortunately, a $500,000 CAL FIRE grant that we had applied for and would have provided much needed funds for this endeavor was not awarded. Next slide. Now, 2 years later, we continue to make zone-based evacuation plan part of our 2021 OES initiatives to increase evacuation safety programs countywide with the goal of saving lives. Slide. So how do we go from a concept of zone-based evacuation planning to actually implementing a system that will streamline evacuations for law enforcement and fire incident managers, and also provide the level of information that our public needs to make informed decisions in real time? This is where Zone Haven comes in. Zone Haven, a private software developer based in San Francisco, took the concept of zone-based evacuation planning and created a cloud-based mapping and information sharing solution for real-time use. Nevada County was introduced to Zonehaven last year by our partners at CAL FIRE, who are already working with Zonehaven and a number of other jurisdictions to develop and proliferate Zonehaven's platform. Slide. Zonehaven's platform is essentially comprised of 3 separate modules, the first being designed for preparation. This is where law enforcement, fire, and OES work to build and maintain evacuation plans for each of the county's individual zones. This is where we map the location of critical infrastructure, traffic control points, temporary evacuation points, community shelters, just to name a few. The second module is designed to support ongoing training for incident managers and first responders. This is where simulations and exercises can be run by various agencies. Supported by weather and fire modeling, incident managers can use these tools to forecast the direction and speed of an event at intervals such as 1, 3, and 5 hours. This information is then used to determine the scale of evacuations actually needed. Exercises such as CAL FIRE's WUI drills, animal evacuations, and EOC tabletop drills can all be supported by the enhanced by these features. The final module is designed to support actual live emergency events and will be used to quickly select threatened zones to be evacuated or warned. That information is then displayed in real time on a public-facing map for all to see. This live module supports public notification by leveraging social media platforms such as the county's Facebook and Twitter feeds, which will be used in conjunction with our county's Code Red emergency alert system to provide the most up-to-date information to our community. Next slide. Here's a screenshot of the emergency management platform where the public safety agencies do their work in creating evacuation pre-plans, conducting exercises, and alerting the public to actual live emergencies that are occurring. You can see in the upper left hand, it's as simple as toggling between prepare, train, and live to switch between these modes. Another key advantage here is that during an actual live event, if law or fire managers want to see a prediction and they want to do modeling on the fly during an actual emergency, we can quickly switch over to train and we can run some fire modeling to see where we think the fire may actually be during a live emergency. So it's not just something that we can do before an event, but we can actually do it during the event as well. On the right-hand side is where you can see some of the metrics that we get out of each of these zones. So for instance, this happens to be a zone on the north edge of Alta Sierra. It shows us the population of that area, how many vehicles are typically found in that area, how many acres that zone actually is comprised of, the number of structures that are there, and then we can enter all that information as far as those critical infrastructure facilities. We can put different resources in there. We can establish what those traffic control points are going to be ahead of time. We could even put in their main routes for ingress and egress, and potentially even arrival points if we wanted to put an arrival point out to the public as far as where they should go. We call those temporary evacuation points. Next slide, please. Here's another screenshot example of the community evacuation interface where the public will be able to access critical information during an emergency. I cannot show you one of Nevada County because that doesn't exist at this point. We do not have those zones published for the public. So what I have for you here is this is a zoomed in screenshot of both San Mateo County and Santa Cruz County. You can see here that actually today they have some of their zones turned on in different colors. The zone in the middle there in the pink is actually a zone that's still under evacuation order following the CZU fire. The other zones that are indicated in blue are currently under an advisory because they're in the burn scar area, and the county wants folks in those areas to be aware of the potential for debris flows and whatnot through our winter weather. You can see that the box on the right-hand side, that appears whenever you click on a zone, and it provides information about that zone, what the status of that zone is. You've got links to actually register for the community's alert and warning system. In our case, that would be Code Red. So we can actually embed links here for people to easily sign up for Code Red. Next slide, please. To educate our residents about this project, we plan to launch an aggressive Know Your Zone public awareness campaign. The goal of the campaign will be to educate the public on the zone that they live in and to provide them with the online resources to access the real-time information during an emergency. This will be accomplished through a variety of media outlets, but also by leveraging the support and aid of our partners, such as the Coalition of Firewise Communities and the Fire Safe Council of Nevada County. Next slide. Now, supervisors, I know there's a lot of agency names on this list to read, but I think what's important to note here is the fact that there's not one local public safety agency who's not represented on this list. Beyond our local agencies, we have the support of CAL FIRE, California State Parks, the U.S. Forest Service, and the Bureau of Land Management. This project will truly be one that is collaborative in nature and will bring literally hundreds of years of public safety experience to bear. I've personally spoken to all the agency heads or area representatives for these departments, and they have all graciously agreed to throw their support behind this project. And that support doesn't simply end with an endorsement, but each one of these agencies has committed their own staff time to assisting with the development of this project. Next slide. In case you were curious what other jurisdictions are currently working with Zonehaven, I've listed them here for you. It's important to note that there are currently 6 other Northern California counties who are in the process of implementing Zonehaven's platform. In total, this represents roughly 6 million residents that will be served through their software. I feel this also highlights the fact that Nevada County is in a unique position to be on the leading edge of this effort here in Northern California. Next slide. For our project timeline, we estimate, based on partner participation, 8 to 15 weeks to implement this project publicly. Our goal is to have this system in place by early summer before we begin to see the seasonal increases in fire activity. Slide. I'd imagine you're all wondering how this project will be funded. Zonehaven was recently awarded a 2-year grant from the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, allowing them to select a handful of counties to work with on implementing their evacuation management platform. With Nevada County being selected to participate under this grant funding at no cost to us, it represents a value of approximately $85,000 in service over the next 2 years. At the end of the 2-year grant period, local leadership will need to decide whether they want to continue working with Zonehaven and using their platform with an annual cost. This decision will likely be made based on our experiences using the system and the added value that it brings to our community. If, at the end of the 2 years, the decision is made not to continue partnering with Zonehaven, we've already been guaranteed the ability to retain the work that would be put into our local zone development, and OES, in conjunction with County GIS, would simply continue this effort with the tools currently at our disposal. We're not going to leave our community hanging. Next slide. In closing, we in OES see the Zonehaven platform as a solution for moving forward with our zone-based evacuation planning. And with your board's blessing, our collaborative team of professionals stand poised to move this project forward. And with that, we ask that you approve the resolution before you and accept a donation of services. Last slide, please. Again, thank you very much for your time, supervisors. This concludes my presentation, and myself and Paul are available for any questions that you might have.
You're on mute, Dan.
I knew that, and I'll repeat that. I know that Sue Hookage is biting at the bit to ask you a question.
No, I seriously don't have questions. I am just so excited that they chose Nevada County to move this forward. It's what our community's been asking for, our districts. And again, you know, here our OES team, you guys rock it. I can't even say the amount of time you spend in research and reaching out and dogging these people is so commendable. I just can't say thank you guys enough, because I know what it means for you guys to protect this community, and you guys are really, really, you blow me away. Thank you so very much. And thank you, Zonehaven. Can you imagine, in this Moore Foundation, what an incredible gift they're giving to this community and all these communities in California. So kudos to these folks. I don't know how they were actually tied into this, probably through a passion that they have, but I'm certainly glad that Nevada County is going to reap some of the benefits. So kudos to all of you. Thanks.
It's always nice, Sue, that we never have to guess how you really feel. So Ed, since they used Alta Sierra, you must have some questions. Ed?
Yeah, having technical problems here, but only with the video. Oh, all right. Um, yeah, this is exciting, Dan. And Robert, thank you for the presentation. Um, I certainly know the concept. It's going to be very interesting to see how this rolls out and how easily our people might be able to understand just how this is going to be working. But again, this is another step uh, getting us closer to an area that is a huge concern in the Altamira area and down the Lake of the Pines and all of my district, as all of us know. So thanks for bringing that forward, and thank you for the organization that awarded us the grant also.
Heidi.
Thank you. This looks fantastic. Obviously, it's something that if it works the way it's supposed to, we're going to love. And I'm thrilled also that we got selected and that we're moving forward with this. A couple questions, just because, as I mentioned to Steve over the weekend, I've been involved with contracts in the past with government agencies where after a couple of years, the developer or the software developer says, oh, you want to keep it, and then you're going to have to pay for it, and they jack up the price, or they don't want to give you access to the data. There are lots of issues like that. So I understand that after the 2 years, it may cost us $35,000 a year, which sounds reasonable to me. I just wonder if there's any guarantees about that. Do we know what it'll cost? Do we know, will there be an annual fee? Will there be charges for updates and upgrades? Will we have ownership of the data? Can you just talk a little bit more about how that will work? Because I know if it's great, we're going to want to keep it. Just don't want to be held over the barrel.
Sure, absolutely. I can really only speak to the 2-year agreement that we have in place at this point, which is at no cost to the county. I can only project and try to forecast what I think this service may cost. Unfortunately, the cost for that is somewhat out of our hands. I think as the project becomes more popular and we start to see this spread throughout the state, that could help to control costs somewhat. The nice thing is that with this first 2 years, we're getting all the startup costs covered. So all the work that we're going to be doing with the Zone Haven staff and all the data input, we get to enjoy that for free. So from that point forward, from 2 years on, it'll be simply maintenance. As far as any upgrade costs and whatnot, I mean, we've all bought cell phones and been surprised with the increase in costs. And I mean, it's a software program, so there's inevitably going to be cost increases. I think the important thing is that we just continue to monitor that and make sure that that there is in fact value there and that we're making the right choice. And like I said in my presentation, we've made arrangements for this. We negotiated with Zone Haven early on that we were only interested in doing this if we were able to own the data at the end of it, or if we decided to terminate early. That way, if we needed to go alone, we didn't have to walk back a zone-based evacuation plan with our community. We could continue to use those zones, just be doing it with different tools is all.
Okay, so that's interesting. I guess I would just say, I mean, it's going to be one company, and the more and more people use it, it's one company, and they're going to have a monopoly on this. And I'm not questioning their motives, but honestly, I've been through this before multiple times with government agencies. So I would just recommend that we look more. Do we do more than hope? I don't know if there's an agreement we can get into about what the first couple of years might cost after this, but just it's a concern I have. And I did raise it this weekend, so I was hoping there, maybe we had a little more information on that. But thank you.
Okay, Hardy.
Oh, thank you, Robert, for your presentation. I'm excited about this level of functionality for the county. And I think I didn't specifically see the town of Truckee or Truckee PD. Maybe I missed it on your slide, but I'm assuming they're partners. Womack or Robert Womack with our OES piece, is he a partner as well?
Absolutely. In fact, I'd like to put a special shout out to Bob Womack. He is the town of Truckey's emergency manager. He's been very lean forward in this. He was aware of Zone Haven before I was, and when I became aware of it through Cal Fire, he's definitely been a champion of the program, and he's been 100% supportive of it. So yeah, he's been on board the entire time, and Chief Billingsley is very supportive of it as well.
Oh, thank you. And I did have one comment, kind of in support of Supervisor Hall's comment, in that because we're an early adopter and I didn't see a large number of cities or counties using the software, so we're kind of in a beta test mode to some degree. I would request that maybe we think about preserving our ability to have a competitive process either around the time we adopt it or before we sign the contract, so we preserve the right to look at other alternatives and be prepared to look at competitor products if there were any out there.
Certainly.
So can I
Okay.
just ask a question?
Sure, go right ahead, Sue.
Okay, so I thought though, I'm just curious for the protection of that point, and I get you what you understand, but when I understood it is at the end of this, we would keep all of our data. We wouldn't be forced to continue on with Zone Haven if that was the case and it was outrageously priced, that we could create our own product basically from the data.
That is correct.
Okay. I thought that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well-
Sue, that would be costly to create a whole new software. That's,
No, I understand what you're saying too, Heidi. I agree. We got to be careful with that. But I mean, to at least have that data in, we'd already know our zones. We know I think the key for us is actually knowing how the roads all work into a fire district. There's a lot of things that people don't know, and that's what this software is going to give us, and what our routes are for evacuation in case of emergency. And I love the fact that we can use it to the practice point of it, your training point of it, because you can kind of depict which way fire is going to go. I mean, I think we can learn so much in this next 2 years, whether we go on with it or not. It's going to put us way ahead of the game.
So we're buying that data, Bob, right? We're buying that.
No.
No, the 2-year grant covers the cost of developing the zones, which, as you've seen, the draft zones have already been developed for us. The next step is to move into the process of reviewing those zones to make sure that they're correct for us. That's going to be every fire district, all the law enforcement agencies looking at these zones, making sure they're correct. And then we continue to work with the Zone Haven staff for the next 2 years at no charge while we continue to just build upon this program. So there is no cost to us at this point. At the end of 2 years, if we decide to walk, we essentially get a data download and we walk.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the only thing, there's no, how do I say this, and be nice. There's no real danger or risk to us for them to do the work. And then at the end of 2 years, if we don't like the product, we don't have to buy it.
That's my viewpoint, yes.
And then right at the same time, then, as Heidi said, we can look at all other alternatives if they're being developed during that time period. Yeah. Okay. Julie, any members of the public want to talk about this?
Thank you, Chair Miller. We've had no public comment on this item.
Okay, so what we're looking for is a motion to approve the contract with Zone Haven for the gift of, for the donation of $84,270. And I need a motion.
So moved, District 5.
Okay,
Okay,
second.
I got Hardy on District 5 as a motion. And who
Second
did the second?
on 4.
And Sue did the second. So
Looks like I froze. Okay, looks like I'm back. Are we doing the motion now, Chair Miller?
yeah, motion was Hardy, second was Sue.
Okay, thank you. District 1,
District 1, yes.
District 5,
District 5, yes.
District 2,
District 2, yes.
District 4,
District 4, yes.
And District 3.
District 3, yes. Okay, Lieutenant, thank you. Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, supervisors. I appreciate your time, and we look forward to coming back in a few months with an update on our progress.